So this is something that people don't very often talk about in belly dance, but is incredibly important for us as dancers, particularly as we become more experienced and more advanced and we start trying to do more challenging things. And that is the concept of core strength, connection and stability. And we don't really talk about that very much in belly dance. It is something that is absolutely fundamental to being able to dance well and confidently and having control over our bodies. And I was thinking that if we think about the human body and what we're trying to do in dance, if you think about it, we are carrying ourselves on our legs. Our ankles and our calves and our thighs are having to transport this big body with arms and things, transport it around, very often up on our toes, which is a tiny, tiny little bit of our body, is trying to manage, obviously it depends on how big you are, and I'm sort of taller and bigger than a lot of dancers, so my legs are having to sort of carry a lot of me around, but basically my legs are having to handle a lot of stuff going on here. The other thing is that the center of the body, the torso, this stuff here is big, it carries all our organs around. And it's full of muscles. It's absolutely covered front and back with muscle. Then we have these arms, which when we start putting them into the mix, they are going to, they're out here and they're in major major danger of destabilizing ourselves. When we start throwing our arms around, you can imagine that the core is trying to have to deal with that. The legs are trying to keep us all stable, and we're up on our poor little ankles and our tiny little tippy toes and trying to manage all that stuff. It's actually incredibly challenging for our body, particularly when we start doing undulations and circles and sort of turns and all these kind of things. You can imagine the physics of it, the physical challenge that is going on. So that's why learning to stabilize and have what we call core strength and core stability is absolutely fundamental to being able to deliver really good dancing and to feel safe and secure when you're dancing. Now, how do we actually get core stability? Your core stability muscles, particularly when you're in dance, your core stability muscles they start in your psoas, which is down here, your lower abs, and all the way up your sort of abdominal wall here. And very importantly, I believe, and I bang on about this on the Undeniables live classes all the time, this upper abs. Now, one of the big issues with belly dancers I've seen over the years, particularly with dancers as they become more experienced, is that they splay the rib cage. We tend to lift up the ribs, and lift up the boobs, and so you get a massive banana back. I see it all the time with advanced dancers, a really big banana back. What they're doing is they're splaying the ribs, and that weakens you here, You have to pull the rib cage in, and that will then give you extra strength here. What you want in dance, I've sort of done this from when I was 5 years old, sort of learning to center myself and use the core of my body to keep me under control, and connected. And to do that, you want to, first of all, make sure that you engage the psoas muscles. That's the muscles down here. It's actually a muscle that's in the pelvis. And if you just kind of almost feel like you want to stop yourself from peeing, pulling up, or like you've got a zip, a very, very tight zip on your jeans, and you've got to pull that up. In fact, I talk a lot about imagining that you've got two zips here, like a V-shaped two zips, and you're going to pull that up. Nice and strong in the tummy. Very, very importantly, keep your rib cage pulled in and nice and strong here. Yeah? Now, shoulders down as well, so that everything is nice and compact in here. Your arms then can float away beautifully. And I do talk a lot about making sure that you extend your arms properly. I don't want your arms to be so pulled in. You want to extend your arms out and to what we call the kinesphere here, this sort of beautiful big bubble of air that you've got around you. But you always want to keep yourself centered and controlled and strong in here. Even when I'm doing an undulation, I may open the rib cage, but I pull it in. I open the rib cage and I pull it in because I always want to be stable here. If I'm doing an arabesque, I don't want to be opening everything out. I always keep myself pulled in so that I'm controlled. The other thing as well is the more that we can strengthen our legs and make sure that we have strong legs and that we're pulled up through, when we go up on releve, we want to be pulled right up through the legs. Don't have bent knees because that just relaxes these muscles. If you're up on releve, yeah, you want to be pulling up through those thighs. You don't want to be doing that when you're shimmying or something, of course, but when you're up on releve, you want to be pulled up through everything. That'll keep you really strong and stable. Keep pulled up through the core, here, the lower abs, the psoas, the rib cage pulled in, and then you can be up on your toes forever. If you're an intermediate dancer and you're not necessarily doing all this sort of big stuff on releve or whatever, the big thing I would suggest that also is kind of related to this is keeping your moves quite small. Yeah, when you're doing sort of things like circles or anything, you know, when you're sort of like doing movements, or you know, when you're doing these kind of padabores, whatever you would call them, grapevine moves or whatever. One of the big things that I notice is people try and make their moves too big, and again they start wobbling around. Keep everything nice and contained. Always feel like you're in the center of your body and not out here. When you turn round, bring everything in to the center. Then you're under control, you're stable, you'll just feel so much better in your dancing. So that is my tip for today. If you've got any questions about it, ask me. I know that the Undeniables online dancers will know all about this because we've been doing a lot of work, particularly in our advanced classes. We've been doing a lot of work because we've been doing some challenging combinations in our advanced classes. And we've been working a lot on keeping that strength and that control, and it's making such a difference to dancers. It really, really is. You know, being able to sort of do these challenging things without falling all over the place. So, if you've got any questions, put them in the comments below, either now or later, and I will come back and answer them.